Good evening, welcome to the Buck Stops here. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the program this evening, for years he said that he's not involved in any way with the IPL scandal. But today the Supreme Court reveals that N Srinivasan, the former president of the BCCI, is indeed being probed over his role. Does this make his position in the BCCI untenable, at least till such time as his name is cleared by the Supreme Court? Also on the show this evening, just what went wrong in the sterilization drive in Chhattisgarh? How did so many people lose their lives? Just who's responsible? A special interview with the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Raman Singh.
लोग जानना चाहते हैं कि पॉलिटिकल अकाउंटेबिलिटी का क्या होगा, क्या अकाउंटेबिलिटी बाकी सबकी है और नेताओं की नहीं है? क्या आप अपने हेल्थ मिनिस्टर के खिलाफ कोई एक्शन लेंगे? कांग्रेस तो यहां तक कहती है कि आपको भी इस्तीफा दे देना चाहिए।
देखिए, रिजाइन करना, कार्रवाई करना, मैं मानता हूं कि बहुत बड़ी घटना है। मैं मानता हूं कि कहीं न कहीं किसी स्तर में चूक हुई जिसकी वजह से इतनी मौत हुई। और मैं रोज जाके हॉस्पिटल में सबसे मिल रहा हूं, 2 दिन से लगातार उन परिजनों से भी मिल रहा हूं। मगर सवाल ये है कि क्या किसी का इस्तीफा दे जाने से सारी समस्या का समाधान हो जाएगा?
And also coming up, the Prime Minister is down under in Australia, where thousands of his supporters have been eagerly awaiting his arrival. We'll bring you special reports on the sense of anticipation down in Australia as Modi gets set to cast a spell. NDTV Sandeep Hukan joins me from Brisbane. But first, our top story. The Supreme Court today revealed the names of a handful of key figures in Indian cricket for their role in the Indian Premier League fixing and betting scam that rocked the world of cricket a few years ago. Among those named by the Mudgal report, which the Supreme Court referred to, were none other than N Srinivasan, the former big boss of Indian cricket, Gurunath Mayappan, his son-in-law, Raj Kundra, the co-owner of the Rajasthan Royals, and the IPL CEO, Sundar Raman. So is this a verdict on the scam? No, not yet, though it's clear that N Srinivasan will have to wait longer before attempting to return to the top post of the BCCI.
Up until now, N Srinivasan's biggest defense was, I am not being investigated, so why should I step down as president of the board? But today, the Supreme Court made it official that the BCCI president in exile is under the scanner. Along with N Srinivasan, names of Gurunath Mayappan, Raj Kundra and IPL CEO Sundar Raman were made public by the Supreme Court with suggestions of misdemeanor on their part. The court has now asked the 4 who have been named in the report to file their objections within 4 days. Soon after the court hearing, the BCCI swung into damage control mode and further postponed its AGM by 4 weeks.
Right now, nothing has been proved. They say probe is still going on. So unless there is a court directive, unless court says something, we cannot comment about it. Right. Let's wait for the court directive.
The Monday hearing made it clear that the court wants to deal with non-players first. And while there are names of certain players too in the IPL fixing report, the Supreme Court has placed a ban on players' names coming out for the moment. The next hearing is scheduled for the 24th of this month.
Supreme Court will do complete justice. We must all have faith in our judicial system and the knowledge and wisdom and the vision of the Honorable Supreme Court.
NDTV has learned that 9 players are named in that sealed cover, 3 of whose identities were revealed by the Supreme Court on Friday. But even before the court takes up the matter of the players, they are firm about investigating the officials and finding out how deep the rot runs. In New Delhi, this is Rika Roy for NDTV.
Well, what exactly is happening in Indian cricket? What are the implications of all of this? Is it time for a big cleanup in Indian cricket? And what does this really mean for players, for people like N Srinivasan? Ultimately for the players, remember the names of the players have still not been officially disclosed. Well, joining us to debate this, Majid Memon, he represented Raj Kundra in this case. He joins us in that capacity. Kishore Rungta, the former BCCI treasurer, Pradeep Magazine, the advisor to sports at the Hindustan Times, and the well-known cricket commentator Charu Sharma. And with me in the studio, my colleague Nikhil Naz will be going through a lot of these big issues. Mr. Memon, let me come to you first. Your client, Raj Kundra, the police have said in the past that he had confessed to betting. With his name coming out now officially by the Supreme Court, what is the implication? Does it make his position as co-owner of the Rajasthan Royals untenable?
Now, Vishnu, first I must make a correction. I am not here as Raj Kundra's lawyer. I made it clear when the suggestion was made to me whether I would participate in this debate, because that would prejudice his interest in the court proceedings. I am not here as Raj Kundra's lawyer.
Right. So looking at the larger issue of fair enough.
I am here only as a criminal lawyer, and I can give my opinion with regard to the development.
So why don't you give us why don't you give us your opinion then?
Participate in any debate.
That's fine, sir. I get the point that you are trying to make, but please answer the question. Answer the question as a criminal lawyer.
Yes.
Is the position of Mr. Kundra untenable after he was named?
No. Now let me tell you, Vishnu. See, we must understand one thing, that if the names have surfaced through Supreme Court, either in this matter of IPL or coal block or black money or whatever it is, you know, it is not fair on anybody's part, including the respectable media people, that we should condemn somebody or we should criticize or find fault with someone. Because see, what is there, the emergence of name would only mean that there is a necessity to probe the matter, or there could be a preliminary inquiry even before it is discovered that whether any crime has been committed, and if yes, whether by this person or not. And all these things are, you know, far from condemnation. And every celebrity, particularly,
Mr. Memon, I take your point. I take your point. We cannot in the media prejudge what might happen in court. That's for the Supreme Court to decide. But the question I'm asking you, and I'm asking you about Raj Kundra, but I'm asking you as a criminal lawyer, as one of the leading criminal lawyers in the country, does his position become untenable for the moment until such time as his name is cleared?
Not at all. You see, whether it is Raj Kundra or anybody else, other names have also surfaced. Let us take everybody. I must tell you that all these people are likely to be required by the investigating agency for the purposes of certain questioning, which may happen, which may not happen. And after they are questioned, probably the authorities, the investigating agency may be satisfied and they may drop it and abort the whole proceedings there itself. Therefore, to jump to the conclusion that they are in difficulty or that there are problems for them, I think is violation of Article 21 in respect of the right to personal liberty and a fair trial.
Kishore Rungta, let me just ask you one question, and I know Nikhil wants to jump in as well. Is that your, do you accept what Majid Memon says, that look, let's not go after people at this stage? There's a long process. There is, of course, the other perspective that you've got N Srinivasan named, you've got Raj Kundra named, you've got Gurunath Mayappan named, and therefore serious question marks exist on the state of Indian cricket, particularly the IPL. That much is certain.
See, my friend has got into technicalities of the legal process. We are running a sports body. These names, the evidences are already before the Bombay police. The voice samples have already come out. The evidences are all before us through the media and otherwise. Now, morally also, if you have got to be checking corruption, it has got to start from the very beginning. According to me, the whole process has been delayed beyond proportion. We are talking, these things were unearthed almost 2 years back. We are going in between, one IPL has been played and another IPL will be played in April. So we are far too delayed. This was all, initially everything was wishy-washy. A committee was set up under the chair, when the president was Mr. N Srinivasan, which exonerated Mr. Srinivasan himself. And with all these evidences, with Mayappan, and Raj Kundra himself has admitted that I have done betting. Now, where is the scope which is left behind for you to be able not to punish him for these faults? So I, for one, would take it that the justice is already being delayed, although it has been delivered. The public opinion is such. I remember when we were in the treasury benches in the Cricket Control Board, actions were immediately taken against Azruddin and against Ajay Jadeja. One was banned for life, one was banned for 2 years' time. These were all circumstantial evidences. If you want to go to hard evidences, they are always very difficult to find. But in a game of cricket, which is like religion in India, and for which the public almost gives everything away, It becomes a moral duty for particularly educated,
Mr. Rungta, I take the point that
society
you're saying,
to
and I think
to own up the moral responsibility and quit.
I take that point, and Nikhil, I think the essential point that Mr. Rungta mentions is that in this case there is evidence. Correct. There is police evidence as well. In the past, when it came to match fixing, players like Azharuddin, circumstantial evidence was enough to get to these players and ban them for a period of time. In this case, it's gone on for years.
And the difference is, Mr. Majid Menon says that the verdict isn't out. Yes, we know that. But there's a difference in this case than any other case where you have deliberations in the Supreme Court. This has gone way past that. You had a Mukul Mudgal committee. He's a respected man. You had police of 3 different cities working on this, various other former High Court judges working on it. They've spent 4 months finding things. They have reached a conclusion where now these names have come out and they've said in no uncertain terms there's some misdemeanor on part of these individuals that have been mentioned. So it's not like any other allegation, wild allegation in the court that you're talking about. This is a committee, a panel that was set up of highly respected individuals. They've spent 4 months finding things and now say that there's some kind of misdemeanors against people like N Srinivasan. So this has gone beyond any sort of allegations that you see flying around in Supreme Court.
Charu Sharma, you know, Nikhil's point, and this is essentially the sum of what the Supreme Court today said, that look, there is misdemeanor. Given the fact that there is misdemeanor, what do you believe is the implication as far as people like Mr. Srinivasan are concerned?
And they've sent notices, Vishnu, they've sent notices to these 4 individuals as to tell.
And they have to reply.
Yeah, they have to reply, correct.
Charu, go ahead.
Okay, well, I don't know where to begin, but I mean, legally, of course, and I don't mean to be a lawyer, I think what Mr. Memon is saying is absolutely correct. You know, what is the depth of these charges? And unless that depth is known to us, we as in the media does have the power to severely besmirch reputations. And of course, nobody's going to go back and say, well, we were sorry and we were wrong and you're okay. So I think we have to be careful. There are obviously 2 issues, there are many issues, but the first thing is, you know, we keep talking about morality. And we keep trying to thrust morality upon various people. I think all adults know the concept of morality. And if the board was to take stringent action, Mr. Rungta mentioned that back in 1999-2000, the board itself took action, then it's one matter because the board knows what its own rules and regulations are. And if these individuals have transgressed to a certain point where they can now be set aside, suspended, or you know, taken away from their jobs, then the board ought to be doing that.
But
and
that's just the point, Charu. The board,
we might all like to
the
think
board's
it is,
own probe was never accepted.
35, 40 individuals, Vishnu. There are 35, 40 individuals, and I know they wouldn't want to shake the castle of cricket, but I mean, surely there are individuals in there who would say this is way beyond reasonable doubt, and I think that the leader ought to step down. But they are not, are they? So to my mind, I think we need to know first, what is the depth of these charges? We keep saying that there are charges, and the Supreme Court said we should probe further. I mean, this probe's gone along, you know, for the last 1 year anyway. What new now can be found? And whatever old has been found, can we please know what the depth of the charges are? And then, of course, we're all right-thinking people. I'm sure we'll come to a conclusion as well. But till then, it's all innuendo. We don't know enough.
Okay.
And therefore, we shouldn't damn.
Right. So Charu says, what new have we found? You know, to begin with, for starters, up until now, Vishnu, Mr. Srinivasan's defense in the Supreme Court was that I haven't done anything wrong. Why should there be any sort of probe against me? April 2014, this is what his lawyer said. I'm not under any inquiry or probe and hence no reason for me to be kept away from my office. Today, the Supreme Court has said that there are some misdemeanors against you. Just by that logic, if you were to take Mr. Srinivasan's logic, then he should step aside and not even try to seek re-elections now. But he's very keen to do that because we can know that from the postponement of the AGM. So they're waiting for the for this matter to be over and then he would want to be re-elected. But if you go by that logic, all along he kept saying, I haven't done anything wrong. There's no probe against him. One thing that we can infer from whatever the Supreme Court has said today, there is some sort of, however little it may be, some sort of impropriety that has been attributed to Mr. Srinivasan.